Hello, and welcome to the Table and Well podcast. I'm Tennison.
And I'm Ginelle. Thank you for joining us as we discuss topics and give practical tools that help you live, grow, and be in healthy, joy-filled relationship with God, yourself, and others.
For more information and resources, or if you're looking for coaching, connection, and community, please visit tableandwellco.com. We hope you enjoy this podcast. So thank you for joining us today on the Table and Well podcast and Stories from the Table. We are so glad that you guys are with us today, and we are continuing this series, and this is episode 5 of this series, and so we continue with our stories, and we've got 2 more friends with us today, and we're excited that they're here with us. And so this is Victoria and Jason Twombly, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to jump right in today, unless you have something you want to say first before I...
No, I'm good.
You good? You sure?
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Victoria Twombly, as you said.
In case you were wondering.
Tell us a little bit about yourself then.
Well, new to Greenville, so we're new neighbors.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been here for 2.5 months now, and have been in our new home, hopefully forever home, for a month, and just excited to explore the next steps that God has for me, for us, for community, and and our exploration has started at your table. So yeah.
We're excited you guys are here.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, one of the questions that we always do ask too is just, how did you find the table? I mean, we know, but just for people, just to get to know you a little bit more.
It was kind of easy because every time we came into town, we stayed with you.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
As we were trying to figure out where we were going to live. And so the next step just made sense when we found out you were having a table. Mm-hmm. I remember we pulled in late Friday night, moving down here. We were like, finally in our new home state. Right. And that was a Friday night, and our first table was a day and a half later. We showed up on Sunday morning, and we've been coming ever since. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Jason, and I'm really glad to be with you guys because you're friends.
Yeah.
And a little bit about me, as we're new to Greenville, we're exploring what it looks like to be in the second half of life here in the South with y'all. So it's
with y'all.
With y'all.
I'm practicing that.
With your New York accent.
Forget about it. But I'm a beloved child of Abba. And I just love talking about Jesus, reimagining church. And I spend my time as a spiritual development coach and a trainer with Luke 10, and that's how we met each other. And I was brought to the table through relationship with you and the story you heard, and it's been a joy, and it's heart nourishing, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that. Through just relationship with you guys, it's been a true joy.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you had a poem that you wanted to share. You're our local lyricist.
Yes.
And so we would love to hear that.
Absolutely. We had some friends over last night, and it's like me to take the conversation, and there's a bit of junior high humor that we engage in, which is a lot of fun, and just building some fun banter. And then I thought of a poem that Victoria had sent to me the night before that put words and language around some of the conversations we were having, and it became a prompt to a table yesterday.
Awesome.
With some conversation that led to me processing it this morning. So it is called Where to Build Your Home. Where to Build Your Home by a poet friend named David Tennison. And as we were getting ready, right before we went on air, Tennessee had mentioned sometimes in life we learn things by what not to do. And so I think as we're exploring what it looks like to be in community, build community, I'm reminded of some of the things that I've done in the past, and I'm like, I don't want to do that again. But I want to do it more Christ-like. So here it is. Where to build your home. I built my home in the hearts of others. I built my home in the hearts of others, trading my treasure for a seat at their table, placing my best self on the shelves of their acceptance. This was a mistake. They walked away. I was no longer welcome. I found myself homeless, empty, wondering if I had anything more to give. Take heart. Take heart, God whispered. You have plenty more to give. The emptiness came to let you know you simply built your home in the heart of others instead of your own with me. Where to Build Your Home by David Tennison.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So in listening to that, like what is that, or listening or reading that and hearing that, what does that, I guess what does that evoke in you? And even just with you, moving across the country, finding a new home, forever home, as you said, hopefully, relationships and people and at the table, and like how does that resonate with you and even just fit into even just where you are right now on your journey?
Yeah, so we were having a really interesting conversation even in the car about the poem. It evoked a lot for us and our friends yesterday. I spent a lot of my life trying to build a home in other people's hearts, and it was a devastating life. My emotional immaturity and needs and my trauma and, just I was constantly seeking approval and acceptance and love in ways that were not the ways that are going to really serve me and are going to last because they were dependent on someone else.
Yeah.
And so I was sharing with Jay that the difference in what we're learning now is that if I'm trying to build a home in your heart, I'm forcing my way into your space and creating something, not necessarily being welcomed, but I'm trying to maybe perform for you or, serve you, but there's always like a reason behind it. There's a motivation that's maybe not always pure, with expectations attached. Whereas if you are creating and holding space in your heart, you are welcoming that person in. So I can try and build a place in Tennison's heart for myself, and that's like working my way in there. But if Tennison decides to create space and hold space in his heart for me, that's an invitation.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm seeing the difference. I mean, this poem just broke things wide open for me, and I used a term this morning, and it's like I have been a squatter in other people's hearts for many years, and and that's no way to be. It's not real relationship, and it's very unpredictable. There's no security in that, and I have a whole nother level of peace now because I'm really secure in my own heart, and I've learned to give myself everything that I need. In those spaces, and I'm still learning. You know.
We're all still learning. We're all still
learning. Stumbling along the way, but there's a whole lot more peace and stability because I'm not reliant on you to determine my happiness, my joy, and how much I feel loved and accepted in my value anymore. That's between me and God in my own heart.
Right, and your security is different because now it's yours. Like thinking of building your home in other people's hearts. It's like, well, you have to go there to go be safe and secure. And it's like, but if it's here and it dwells within you with him, and that's where Jesus is dwelling, is in the house you've built with him, then that's a whole other conversation. And then you can welcome people into your home. They don't even have to then build a home in your heart because you have a home that they can come visit. And enjoy and rest in.
Because if I'm building a home in your heart and your heart, there's pieces of me that I'm then fragmented, and there's pieces of me in different spaces. But if you hold space in your heart for me, and then I can bring my whole self and I can visit with you. But I'm never fragmented in that space. I'm entering in as wholly me. And welcome. You're giving me permission, whereas I'm not, trying to.
And you're not desperate for a bed to sleep in that night. That sounds funny, but for real, you have a home to return to. You don't have to stay with me forever or have this great need of safety and shelter in my home. That's really good. Really good. What a beautiful picture that is. What does that invoke in you, Jay?
So many things, and so well said. I'm learning in this part of my life to build the emotional infrastructure with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in the mansion within. When Jesus said the kingdom of God is, he said it's within. And it's kind of like a both end. And so I see the Father's house. In my Father's house are many mansions, and there are these many rooms and parts of us inside of us. And how do I steward that home well? Like Victoria was saying, I don't want squatters, as it were, in my heart.
That's good too.
And I've had that codependency in relationship, in ministry. And if there's a ministry endeavor where people are leaning on me, whether I'm the preacher or I have a weekly gathering, whatever it is, and I'm the only safe person that they have, and they're just hearing the insights from me, that is not a relationship that is healthy. And so I love to build big people from the inside out. And instead of me building their hearts, I love to give people tools so that they can cooperate with Father, Son, and Spirit to build their hearts. And then my relationship with them, after they're learning to steward their own selves, because at the end of the day, I can only connect with people insofar as I'm connected with myself. And in this loneliness, and that's been revealed in the pandemic, it's really a pandemic of loneliness, that until we learn to meet ourselves, particularly in the eyes of our Creator, to that level, I can't connect with other people. But then after that, how do I engage with people if I don't build home in their hearts? What does that mean? And I like to propose that in Paul's language, he said in Philippians chapter 1, from the sweet affections that I'm bonded with you in Christ, I will hold you in my heart. I will carry you in my heart. And I think that's the instead, is learning how to carry people in our hearts with presence, even in absence.
That's really good.
I love that. And so my brain is just going a bunch of different directions, but my question, not even a question, is curiosity, more just conversation. So at the table, we do create space for that to happen. And so I'm just wondering if you have noticed that in the time that you guys have been coming to the table, where we've been able to help people kind of create that space in their heart, and we walk away with the honor of holding that space for people. So what, I guess, are there anything that you've seen, or maybe
some parallels
that
around
have
that
led
house concept, even at the table, positive or negative?
Yeah, absolutely. Either one.
I could start. For sure. Every time we're here, there's a real sense of safety, and there's this, because of the safety, there's that heart invitation to really test the waters with new people, and the belonging happens so fast here with you guys, that I can go ahead and share the internal landscape of my life with the practices of a check-in, listening to Jesus, and there, as the intimate disclosure of my heart is presented to someone else, knowing that there's a safety of they're going to be glad to be with me no matter what. That person can hold space as we practice this relational muscle of in the past, when I've done that, maybe people have given me unsolicited advice, or it wasn't safe, or if I expressed anger when I was a kid, I was sent to my room, so I'm going to just stuff that down and brood and bottle it up until I blow up. So in the table, there is a reconfiguring of that emotional circuitry in my body that keeps the score, as the book says, and in my brain, so that I can go ahead and take space and then see my heart with awareness and the other person's heart. And that doesn't happen in a lot of places, so this is a very special place.
I think it's interesting, a couple different things coming to mind for me, but I think we've really struggled in some ways to, like, back to the house concept. We, in ministry for so long and fostering so many kids, we felt this need to have a house that people could dwell in when they didn't have their own. And so we would continually feel this need of, like, well, we need to have a house. We need to have space for them. We need to
make sure that they feel that we create a space that they feel like,
well, like,
how to say
rather than thinking about them building a house for themselves, and that's actually the goal here between us and in this relationship, is that our goal is to help you build your own identity, to build your own house, to be safe in your own space with your own feelings, versus me having to create space for that only, and then when you leave here you don't have that anymore, and you've left yourself with us, and you don't find yourself again until you come back to us. I'd say we did ministry like that for a really long time.
Sounds like you were adding additions to the whole, the house of
we were building.
Adding additions for each foster kid or piece of ministry.
Yes, and for sure.
And leaving them homeless still.
Yes, exactly. I think it's so interesting in the way that even just you saying that and thinking so much about the journey we've been on in the last year and a half of building this table, and even us transforming and us changing, and the Lord teaching us a lot of things along the way, and how one of the things that He's taught us is our only job is to build that house for us.
Beautiful.
And to invite people to it. Beautiful. And then help them build their own. Like we don't, and because we've had intimate conversations about like, but what about people who have no houses, in this context. But we say often, like, if I can come to this table as myself, that gives you freedom and permission to come to the table as yourself. And if I'm not trying to take ownership of your home or replace your home or, be a stand-in for that.
I'm not trying to buy your house.
Or even replace Jesus. Like the work you need to do with Jesus to build your own home, but I'm here to champion that instead. To let you know, and much like we did with our foster kids, like, this is what home and family feels like. But ultimately, the goal is that you would have your own. And I think the table does provide some space for that has just been really fun to watch. And in your way of saying that people are learning how to feel safe in their own feelings, safe in their own bodies with others, but others are not like replacing that for them, if that makes sense. Like we're creating space here that's really safe and awesome. But it really is, we're going to create safety while you find comfort in your own home, or while you lay a foundation or begin to build a wall with Him that you didn't know you could build, or along that analogy. Any thoughts on that?
What if it's more like the game of life, I'm dating myself, versus the game of Monopoly? So it's not spiritual Monopoly.
Where we're trying to buy up all these houses.
Absolutely. In the landscape of our heart. But it's more of just, we're in the wheel of life together and experiencing it. And the table provides the pathway for that, because we talk about real life every single time.
That's really good. Yeah. How about you, Victoria? What are some other thoughts?
I feel like the house it's being fostered, which is a great word for you to represent what you've done for so many. What's being fostered here is an opportunity for us to really tap into trusting ourselves in the midst of a community of people. So it's hard to trust others sometimes, right? Because we've all been hurt and let down. But often my needing to invest in others so that they can hear me, because I need to be heard, I need to be witnessed, I need to be attuned to, has been a lack of me trusting myself. And so one of the beautiful things that this space has created, I mean, I tell you all the time, because I can't help it, as soon as you walk in the front door, you're hugged. It's not even just physically, there's a presence here in this home. It's just, it's full of peace. It's so welcoming. There's a love that just rests here. And you feel that immediately. And I think that carries through everything that's done. And so when I'm at a table and I get to share a story, an appreciation story, I have held back sharing things I'm excited about in life because I didn't get the attunement and the joy, the sharing. I can share something that I'm excited about, but if you just kind of look at me and you're like, oh, that's great, and then you leave, I'm not going to invest in sharing my joy, because now it's pain. It's attached to pain. And I can hold my own joy, but sometimes we really want someone else to just attune to us. And I've learned at the table that not only do I share an appreciation story, but people lean in.
Yeah.
And then they go a step further and they might go, wow, that's really cool. But then there's that further step of curiosity, which shows they're really invested and they really care. And there's a true connection there. And then that makes that appreciation like, okay, I trusted myself enough to share. They showed that they could be trusted to hold space for that joy and even the fear maybe that was attached to sharing that. Yeah. And it just builds something inside me that just makes it that much easier to even share outside of the table. So it doesn't just end here. I'm strengthening my muscle every time I'm here.
Yeah.
When I'm with other people outside of the community table. Yeah.
That's really good because, we always say that we are the maker of our experiences. And so what you experience here, then when you leave here, it's part of you, of who you are and your experience. So it gives you more agency to go out and be fully you outside of this space. Which is really awesome.
Yeah.
And I love the gift of curiosity because I didn't have it before encountering all of this either. And it's so beautiful when people are curious with you because you begin to discover parts of your story that you hadn't even lived yet, I think. That's even so in the excitement of things, it's like, I'm excited about this. And you'll share your appreciation. And then somebody will ask a question and you're like, I didn't even think about that piece, or I haven't even allowed myself to feel that yet. And now I'm being invited into something I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, maybe because there's pain there, or maybe because I didn't think you'd be interested in hearing about that. And so I didn't even attune to myself in hearing about that. And so curiosity is an absolute game changer.
But that's why we need community.
We're
not going to we can't exist in that level of curiosity by ourselves. We need someone else who hears our story. Because we tell ourselves, we'll replay our own stories in our head, so we think we know it so well, but there's pieces of it that we're not tapping into, whether or not because we're holding back because we're afraid to go there, but we don't even know it subconsciously. But community will go deep, trusted community like this will go a step deeper, and they'll ask you those questions, so you even get to know your story better, or get to appreciate something, or tap into a pain point that needs healing that maybe you weren't seeing because you weren't ready to go there.
And one of the beautiful things too about even the table, because you could have everyone can know each other that comes that week, or people don't know each other that come that week. But as you do that, you also, and you share your story and people ask those curious questions, you can, for the most part, not even for the most part, I say always, that those people actually have your best interest in heart, and they're truly curious and want to know. And so the question they're asking
because there's no provoking of curiosity. Like people are really asking from a genuine space.
And so that it's pure. So even if it does touch a pain point, it's not all of a sudden that you might spiral and tank because you're like, oh, someone asked me this question, I didn't think about that. But it's like, oh, wow, thank you. It's that place of, let me dig into that a little bit and see what the Lord wants to know about that.
Curiosity.
Because it's always gentle.
Yeah, the space is very gentle, which is
so
beautiful about it too. It's not this like, well, what was that about?
It's not interrogation.
And it's not provoked questioning.
That's a good point, though. It's not interrogation. It's a gentle curiosity, and there's a big difference.
Big difference. Yeah.
Interrogation can feel nosy and intrusive, whereas gentle curiosity actually feels like there's care attached. And desire to know.
You've been listening to the Table and Well podcast. New episodes stream every Tuesday. To begin your journey to relational health, go to tableandwellco.com/community101. Again, that's tableandwellco.com/community101.